Today we're gonna go through 5 skin makeup tips for women 50 and up. I'm gonna show you how to get the most beautiful glowy skin that you've ever had in your entire life. People are gonna be asking you what work you had done, and you can tell them that you got glam girled. Let's go. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Gabby and I've been a makeup and hairstylist for 17 years, working with thousands of women of all different ages and backgrounds. I live, I dream, I breathe beauty, and I have for as long as I can even remember. On this channel, I'm all about giving you the tools that you need to look and also, more importantly, to feel your best. Let's get into it. Tip number 1 is to create a glowing base. Your face makeup will only look as good as the base on which it's put on. One of the biggest skin issues that we face with aging is the loss of hydration, so we want to add that back in with product before doing any other step. On a clean washed face, I start by hydrating first. You don't want your cream to be too oily or too thick because we're going to be building up the layers of product. Unless your skin is incredibly dry and parched, a moisturizer that is too dense will sit on the surface and it won't allow the other layers to sit well on top of them. Face makeup is just like nail polish or even like wall paint. If you start with a really heavy layer of everything, it really never dries down, so it never looks perfect or lasts all day. We want to build things up. We want fine layers of products as we go. You are definitely going to want to tweak this step for your individual skincare needs. If your skin is oilier, use a product that is more gel-based and lighter, although truthfully I rarely see this skin type after 50, but there are some 50-plus-year-olds who have oilier skin. If your skin is normal to dry, use a cream-based product, and if your skin is excessively dry, use a heavier cream-based product. Keep in mind that your moisturizer does not replace exfoliation. So even if you have a great skincare routine with high-quality products, you still need to exfoliate, or else the makeup will sit on top of the dead skin cells and it will not look as good as it could. If you haven't exfoliated in a while and you're following this tutorial, exfoliate first and then apply that nice first layer of moisturizer. Step number 2 is to prep the eyelids and under the eyes. The eye cream that I really like to use in the makeup prep stage on the lids is by City Beauty. They have one specifically for eyelids called the Lid Lifting Treatment, and it helps firm, saggy eyelids and also softens the look of fine lines and wrinkles. My friends Justin Hickox and his wife Deanna just did a video about this product with a shocking before and after clip. I will leave a link to it for you guys if you want to learn more about it. It's an amazing product and his channel's great. So if you haven't checked him out before, I suggest that you do that. It's a really impressive product. This video is not sponsored, but I do use that product pretty much on every mature woman that I do eye makeup on. All I do is I tap it onto the eyelids and I allow it to set for 1 minute before using any other products. Under the eyes, whenever I am doing the eye makeup, I love to use an eye mask. These sheet masks do a great job of depuffing and smoothing out lines. They're really, really good for using when getting ready for a special event. After the moisturizer has had a chance to absorb into the skin, you can go in with a primer. Primers smooth out fine lines and wrinkles. They can minimize the look of large pores, and they can help the makeup last a lot longer as well. Today, I wanted her skin to look like satin. I want it to be really glowy and be super luminous. So out of all of my primers, I chose the Charlotte Tilbury Wonder Glow one because it has some particles in there that reflect light, and it does a beautiful job of illuminating the skin under the foundation. Just to quickly summarize this section, what you want to do is you want to exfoliate. Then you want to use a moisturizer that absorbs well into the skin. Then you want to use something on your eyelids if you need it. Then you want to use something under the eyes for hydration, and then you can go in with a primer once all of those products have absorbed into the skin. Tip number 2 is to start with a tinted moisturizer. A tinted moisturizer is going to do a lot of the work for you. So you're probably wondering why her eyes are done and why they're dark. It is because this is a part 2 video to my video called 7 Simple Eye Makeup Tips for Women 50 Plus, where I taught you how to do a beautiful, smoky, more dramatic eye on a more mature face. I got so many comments requesting this part of the tutorial, the skin makeup part, that I made it for you after that video came out. I very much value your comments, your feedback, so please know that they do not go unread. I really, really do take into account what you're saying in the comments for the future videos that I create. The reason that I start with the Tinted Moisturizer is because the less heavy products that we can have on the skin, the better. The less likely they are to sit in the lines, the less likely they are to look cakey or get smudged, or even just feel uncomfortable on the skin or for the client. A Tinted Moisturizer corrects a lot of uneven skin issues in a completely lightweight manner. After swiping a Tinted Moisturizer on with the foundation brush, I then take a look at what still needs coverage, and I go over those areas with a damp beauty blender. So a foundation brush like this is going to give you a lighter application. A beauty blender like this will give you a more targeted application, but they are not intended to be used dry. This is a mistake many people make. You want to take your beauty blender, you want to run it under water while opening and closing it, and then you squeeze out the water before using it. When you do this, your beauty blender is going to turn into a much larger, puffier tool that is perfect for blending and building coverage. On Charlene today, I used the L'Oreal Age Perfect foundation. This is the foundation that I've been using on myself. I am absolutely obsessed with it. I have never seen a foundation look this gorgeous on literally everyone's skin. I even used it on my very young bride last weekend, and this is how her skin looked without a filter. It's a magical formulation. I don't even know what's in it, but it is great. It creates such a beautiful, luminous end result that has quite a bit of coverage without feeling heavy. When I used it on Charlene, the Tinted Moisturizer did quite a bit of work. So I just stippled it on areas that some of the discoloration, age spots, or a little bit of redness was shining through on. I didn't use it on the entire face. I used it almost as like a spot corrector, and then I very softly blended it out. Make sure when you're doing this step to bring the foundation down the neck, because as we get older, the discoloration in our chest tends to increase. So we don't want to have this perfect looking face right on top of a pigmented or a redder chest. It can look like a little bit off. So just take that foundation and drag it down to blend everything out seamlessly. Under the eyes, I use the L'Oreal Age Perfect Concealer. I started the application right in the hollows of the eyes. And what that's gonna do is gonna brighten that darkness and bring it forward in a highlighting effect so that the hollow no longer looks as hollow. We basically minimize the depth with the highlight illusion. Before setting it, I just wanted to let that concealer dry down a little bit and breathe a little bit. So I moved on to contouring. If you go in when the concealer is too wet with a powder, what can happen is it can get a little bit gummy, or a little bit tacky, and it's not quite as flattering. Let nature take its course first, and then you can revisit it after. Tip number 3 is to bronzer. What does that mean, right? What does that mean? It means a bronzy contour. Traditionally, contours are cool in tone, and the coolness creates a shadow, which then creates the illusion of recession, right? Shadows are typically cool in tone. A bronzer is a warm contour, so it's a bronzer applied in a contour shape. Contouring a mature face with cool tones can be harsh because mature faces also lose volume. So if we purposely create more volume loss, it can result in a bit of like a skeletal effect, but you can still create the shadows to give you the illusions you want of like a small nose, a defined jawline, a smaller forehead with a warm based contour or a bronzer. You don't have to use the traditional cooler based contour colors to still create those same effects. I also love bronzer on mature faces because our skin tends to really lose color as we age, and it's the sallowness of the skin that is very aging. So putting some color back in works very well to rejuvenate the look of the face. Bronzering is very effective for those two reasons, really. It warms up the face and it gives you the facial balance illusions that you want. On Charlene, I bronzered her forehead because she has more width there. I also applied it to her cheekbones, her nose, and under the neck. Let's talk a little bit about the cheekbone first. A way to define the cheekbone without making the face look too hollow or sallow is by applying the bronzer on the lower part of the actual cheekbone, so right here, and not on the hollow part, which is down here. This application will lift the face up. Once you have your placement and pigment there, you can use a flat contour brush to stipple and to blend it upwards. This is my absolute favorite brush for blending out contour. I'll leave a link to it in the description box below. For the nose, I just defined the tip by creating a little circle and then blending that out. And then with the pigment left over on my brush, I straightened out the bridge. If you have any issues with jowls, it's very, very, very normal, very normal. You can define the jawline with contour here, and then you can blend that out under the neck. And it's just going to take that looser skin area and it's going to push it into the shadows so it's not as noticeable anymore. Tip number 3 is to set your wet products in areas where creasing happens. I talk a lot about adding more luminosity to mature skin, but if we don't set anything at all, the products will crease and they also won't last for a very long time. The most problematic area for sure is under the eyes. Before setting, you always want to see where your concealer creased and you want to smooth out those creases first. If you don't, you are going to set that crease in and it will be impossible to fix. So after stippling away the crease, you can use a triangular powder puff and a super finely milled powder, and you can press some of the powder into those hollow areas. Depending on the person, of course, and their specific eye shape and concerns, I tend to avoid setting the outside or the outer areas of the eye where there are crow's feet and there's a ton, right, of movement here. If we over dry that area out with powder, it can start looking a bit crepey, but on the inner parts of the eye in here, we tend to have more recession and hollowness without as many lines. So setting it can work great as a highlighting effect. Actually, it will push that hollow zone forward and it will keep that product from moving around too much. Tip number 4 is to use a cream blush. Cream blush is so beautiful and radiant. In my opinion, one of the easiest ways to look instantly polished and alive is to add pops of color in the cheeks and on the lips. That vibrancy is what we see in young children, right? It's very natural in them, and it really tricks the brain into thinking that the skin is very youthful, and we lose that as we age. So by adding a cream blush, a little pop of color, it brings it back. And because it's cream and not powder, it really looks like that blush is coming from within the skin and not like it's sitting on top of the skin. So it's absolutely beautiful. If you haven't tried it yet, definitely try it. With that said though, tip number 5 is to apply the blush on the cheekbone and not on the apples. So apply on the cheekbone and not here, right here on the apples of the cheeks. Our face naturally drops as we get older, so sometimes our apples are lifted when we're smiling, but when we stop smiling, they lower. If the blush is too low on the face, it sinks the face down. So just keep it a little bit more lifted here to avoid that look when you're not smiling. Here is her after. I really loved how this turned out. She was so luminous, bronzy, and glowing, and yet the coverage on the skin itself was still very light and comfortable to wear. The key really is to work in very fine layers and build things up where you need them, and not over apply just to over apply. It's very important when it comes to makeup within any age group, but especially, you know, in more mature skin, to strategically place your products where you need them for enhancement. You don't want to just layer to layer. You don't want everything to look so heavy and cakey and full coverage, especially in today's day and age. This year is the year that I'm seeing makeup look so much more natural, more luminous. The brows are much less defined. The skin is much more natural, and I'm absolutely loving that look right now. It's an easier makeup application to do. It's faster, and it also is so comfortable to wear and youthful overall. Let me know in the comments what you found to be the most helpful part of this video, and if you're gonna change anything up tomorrow when you put your makeup on. Remember that makeup should be fun, and there are no set rules on how you should decorate yourself. I value you, you're important, you're strong, and you are so beautiful exactly the way that you are. This video is over.